Bruce Willis experienced a tragic event in March 2022. He was found to have aphasia, a disorder that ruined his capacity to communicate verbally. However, that was just the start. His family disclosed a heartbreaking turn of events months later. Bruce had deteriorated. He now had frontotemporal dementia, a debilitating illness that impairs memory as well as speech. And now, his loved ones are learning how to say goodbye before he's even gone, as they silently get ready for the inevitable. Unlike his film characters, Bruce is not confronting the end of the world. It's something slower, more vicious, and utterly ruinous. He can no longer speak because of his condition. And even when someone speaks to Bruce, he just looks at them with a blank, glassy visage. Consider an actor who has dedicated his career to making people laugh so hard they can't speak. That was the core of his identity. However, he has now lost both of those things. Bruce's family members' emotions are being torn apart like paper in a shredder as a result of his forgetting everything and everyone. Emma, his wife, uploaded a video in August 2025. Millions of her admirers were devastated by what she said in that video. Her agony was painted on her face, and her grief was depicted everywhere. This woman was going through some sort of loss, even though her husband, who was the father of her children, was still alive. It seemed as though he wasn't. Emma's voice wavered throughout the video as she talked about seeing him have trouble with simple actions. Once able to jump from exploding buildings, the man now requires assistance to cross a room. Bruce could not even understand why he was walking when he did. Recall those fleeting times when you go into a place and can't recall why you were there. Do you recall how momentarily perplexed you would be? This is not a temporary misunderstanding for Bruce. He is always in this state, and his development has been disastrous. According to Emma, Bruce's brain is weakening, as ABC News reported. She used the word failing rather than declining. What the family had been speculating about for months was confirmed by several sources by October 2025. These days, Bruce can hardly talk, maybe a word or two, and maybe not even that. Bruce's frontotemporal dementia had taken him totally. He is imprisoned by the illness in a body that still resembles Bruce Willis, but contains a person who is getting harder to contact. Is he aware of what's going on? Emma acknowledged she is unable to tell. In an interview that went viral on social media, she stated that it's difficult to tell if he's aware. Take a moment to consider that. Bruce is the father of her 2 young girls and her spouse of 13 years. He knows her just as well as she knows him. However, he is unaware of her identity, and she is aware of who he was. That's not all, though. She is incomprehensible to him. He has no idea why she is crying, even if he witnesses it. Imagine the anguish of sitting across from the man you love and not being able to determine whether he realizes that his life is falling apart all around him. On some days he appears. On other days, his gaze focuses on something that only he can see, ignoring her. Medical reality is severe and brutal. In contrast to Alzheimer's, which mainly affects memory, FTD destroys the very traits that define an individual. Bruce isn't losing sight of his past. He's changing completely, losing the fundamental qualities that define him as a person. By mid-2025, Emma engaged 24-hour care from professionals due to the severity of the ailment. However, this was still insufficient. Emma decided to do so. However, that choice ignited the internet. She and their 2 young children, Mabel and Evelyn, continued to live in the family house when she relocated Bruce into a separate dwelling in August 2025 that had round-the-clock medical support. The retaliation was swift and severe. Accusations flooded social media. Accusations of abandonment were made, along with claims that Emma and Bruce's relatives were heartless and solely focused on Bruce's fortune. As they posed the same question, everyone made judgments on Emma and Bruce's family. Does Bruce's family no longer support him? In real life as well as on social media, the question went viral among users. The headlines in the tabloids said that the family was getting ready to die. Emma attempted to justify her position. She desired for her girls to grow up in a normal household, free from the constant shadow of their father's decline. That's what Bruce would have wanted. She was adamant. He would have wished for his daughters to have friends over so they may enjoy childhood without having to worry about their father's disappearance. However, the criticism continued. The situation worsened when a June 2025 incident altered fans' perceptions of Bruce Willis's family. Tula Willis, his second eldest daughter from his previous marriage to Demi Moore, shared a picture of Bruce in a vulnerable position on Instagram. He bowed over as if he had no idea. Although the picture was tragic, it appeared to be a private time for a daughter who had come to terms with her father's death. But fans noticed something else as well. Hundreds of them said the image was exploitative. They charged her of exploiting her father's misfortune to get attention, clicks, and significance in a crowded field of influencers. Was she really going to do that? In a heartbreaking video that received millions of views in only 3 days, Tallulah retaliated. She questioned why fans would believe she was taking advantage of her father. She disclosed that her goal was to demonstrate the disease's effects and help people comprehend the need for additional study, awareness, and compassion. In the video, her voice broke. "My father still exists. He still has me as his daughter, and I'm not going to keep him hidden like he's a bad thing." Tula has consistently expressed the agony of witnessing her father's transformation before anyone realized what was amiss. She said in an emotional interview that she had sensed something was wrong long before the diagnosis, but her presumptions were devastating. Tula thought her father had lost an interest in her. Not that it was a medical problem. She believed Bruce no longer loved her when he became aloof and stopped responding in the same manner. In retrospect, Tula acknowledges her error and the pain that misunderstanding caused her. Since then, she has made public remarks regarding the significance of talking about these experiences and increasing awareness for dementia-affected families. She's not alone today, and she's closer to her dad than ever. Bruce's ex-wife, Demi Moore, is still involved in his life. She frequently posts pictures of the whole blended family having fun together. Everyone gathered to celebrate Bruce's 70th birthday. Tula posting him might therefore be an attempt to cope with the guilt of first believing he had lost interest in her. The family has found themselves in a precarious situation. They are accused of taking advantage of a fated man if they share too much. They are accused of not caring whether they share too little. In July 2025, Emma took direct aim at this issue and posted a long statement urging people to stop passing judgment on things they couldn't possibly comprehend. However, this is what is overlooked under all the clamor, disputes, and criticism from others. For decades, Bruce Willis provided refuge to individuals such as himself. Celebrities and action stars are not what we mean. Furthermore, we are referring to those who stammered, not those who are in his current state. Bruce made discreet contributions to the Stuttering Foundation between the 1990s and 2000s, supporting research and therapy initiatives. In interviews, he talked about the difficulties he faced as a child and the everyday humiliation of not being able to pronounce his own name without becoming stuck on the first syllable. He talked about the loneliness and how, in the worst of times, his voice would turn against him. David, his father, a blue-collar mechanic and former soldier, was unsure of how to assist. The dad, who had survived World War II, supported his family by working grueling manufacturing shifts. He didn't have emotional availability in his arsenal. Young Bruce so endured much of his suffering alone. Before he discovered acting in a high school theater class, he was convinced that something essential was broken inside of him. The stammer disappeared on stage. Behind a character, he spoke without limitation. He was saved by that change. He gained confidence, a career, and a voice he had never had before. He so dedicated the remainder of his life to saving others in a similar manner. He provided funding for speech treatment initiatives in marginalized areas. He filmed PSAs, urging parents to seek early assistance for their children. He joined the Stuttering Foundation as an official spokesperson in 2005, leveraging his notoriety to help destigmatize a disorder that impacts over 3 million Americans. Bruce never forgot the experience of being confined to one's own silence. Where's the help now that Bruce needs it? The irony is awful. The unfortunate thing is that Bruce is running out of time. The man who epitomized cinematic resilience and made a name for himself by never giving up is merely a passenger on a train headed toward the finish. Perhaps he is the most egregious twist of all. This particular element adds even more grief to the entire event. His stutter as a child may have delayed the diagnosis of his dementia. In her interview from August 2025, Emma disclosed this. She didn't give it any thought until Bruce began to struggle with speech in 2020. As a child, he had always stuttering. She thought it was coming back because of age or stress. On movie sets, coworkers saw that he was having trouble with lines, but they gave the same explanation. His brain was already failing. But no one noticed. Significant harm had already been done by the time aphasia was identified by medical professionals in March 2022. Whole areas of his brain had rapidly deteriorated by February 2023 when the diagnosis was changed to frontotemporal dementia. However, what if they had discovered it sooner? Would it have made a difference? Most likely, or most likely not. Frontotemporal dementia has no known cure, no remedy, no drugs that impede its advancement, nothing. Doctors are only able to provide an expiration date, and that's not even accurate. After diagnosis, FTD usually advances over a period of 7 to 13 years. Bruce was detected in early 2023 according to experts. Compute. His family lives inside a countdown clock that they are unable to slow down or turn off. It could be the last birthday he remembers. He could not know who was in the room with him on every holiday. Bruce's family is working to make the most of his final days as he approaches death. They have come to terms with the future. Does that, however, imply that they are prepared for it? Bruce is the victim right now, but the tragedy could possibly happen again. We mean what? Bruce's condition has a genetic component that causes Emma to be up at night. It is possible for frontotemporal dementia to run in families. Not usually, but between 10 and 40% of the time, certain gene mutations are passed on from parent to child. Bruce has 5 daughters, Evelyn, Mabel, Scout, Tula, and Rumor. They might each be carrying a genetic time bomb. Emma has spoken candidly about this, her voice tense with barely contained terror. In September 2025, she told a reporter, "I think about the girls all the time. Should I have them tested? Do I allow them to live in doubt? But what if they do? Even so, what do I tell them? Evelyn and Mabel are still young. How can you convey to a 13-year-old that she may be witnessing a glimpse of what lies ahead for her?" In March 2023, researchers at the University of Sheffield revealed a possible discovery. Bruce's family made his illness public that same month. Researchers created a nasal spray that appears to be effective in shielding mice from some types of FTD. It will likely take at least 10 years before human trials are conducted. Perhaps in time for his daughters, but too late for Bruce. Perhaps that one word has come to define the family's whole existence. Perhaps when they come to visit, Bruce is aware of their presence. Emma holding his hand can make him feel less scared. Even though he can no longer form their names, perhaps the girls' voices evoke some profound recognition. Perhaps the research will pick up speed. Perhaps his daughters won't be hurt. Perhaps, and perhaps. His family's unity is the one small consolation in all of this. Demi Moore, his ex-wife, has emerged as an unanticipated source of support. Celebrity watchers find her and Emma's collaboration perplexing, but anyone who has loved someone with dementia will understand it perfectly. Demi attends family dinners at Bruce's assisted living facility. When it comes to medical decisions, she works with Emma. She shares pictures of herself and their daughters online, with each of them around Bruce. During forced normalcy, Bruce became a grandfather when Willis reportedly gave birth to her daughter Luetta in April 2023. He got to meet the infant. It's uncertain if he realized the significance. In 2024, Tula became engaged. Emma later acknowledged that, although Bruce was present for the announcement and appeared to be smiling in pictures, he didn't fully understand what was going on. Although Scout has been the most secretive, family members say she has had a difficult time observing her father's decline. You wouldn't see the Willis family getting ready for Bruce's death in a film. They don't express their sorrow with a farewell monologue or poignant music. To make sure Bruce's assets are safeguarded, it is instead engaging with estate lawyers, arranging for memory care rotations to keep him from becoming overstimulated and alone. It involves writing down anecdotes about Bruce so that future generations might learn about him. It's sharing pictures in spite of the criticism to let people know that he's still alive, human, and deserving of respect, even though he might not be around for a while. While the family sees reality they must deal with, the public sees controversy. Speaking of controversy, did you know that crew members observed Bruce's decline in real time during the 2018-2022 filming? They could see he was having difficulty, but they had no idea what they were seeing. Nevertheless, they kept casting him in parts. Bruce was unable to retain his lines long enough to deliver a take, so director Randall EMTT later explained that he had to feed them to him through an earpiece. Actress Lala Kent saw twice Bruce misfire a toy gun on the set of Hard Kill in 2020 because he was unable to follow the timing instructions. Some staff members came forward anonymously after the news of aphasia, explaining how they had condensed his vocabulary, simplified his parts, and basically created entire productions around concealing his cognitive impairment. Did they take advantage of him? Perhaps. Or perhaps they wanted to let a dying guy to continue working as long as possible because it was all he had left to do. After his diagnosis was made public, the 2023 movie Assassin became unsettling to watch. Bruce is clearly straining his act. Mid-scene, his eyes get unfocused. He seems to be repeating phrases without understanding them, which gives his line delivery a robotic quality. Those who criticized it for being lethargic or who called in were unaware that they were going over the initial phases of dementia. Bruce stops trying to talk by October 2025. Emma said about going to see him and watching him mouth words, his lips making shapes that don't make sound. When those around him fail to see his needs, he will gesture at objects in frustration. He cries occasionally, but Emma says she's not sure if it's mental distress or if it's just another sign that his weakening brain is losing control of his body. The most important aspect is that Bruce Willis's identity was based entirely on his indestructibility. The police officer who refused to die, John Milan. The taxi driver that saved the universe was Corbin Dallas. The oil driller who gave his life to save Earth was Harry Stamper. Each role shouted a single message. Bruce Willis perseveres. Bruce Willis manages to make it out alive. He won't though this time. The median survival rate for frontotemporal dementia is 6-8 years after the onset of symptoms. Emma's timetable and crew reports suggest that Bruce's symptoms began around 2019 or 2020. Now, in late 2025, he is 5 or 6 years old. The next steps are well defined in the medical literature. Aspiration pneumonia can result from swallowing difficulties, loss of bladder and bowel control, and increasing physical impairment. The majority of FTD sufferers do not pass away from their dementia itself, but from issues that their frail bodies are unable to handle. Emma is aware of everything. She has studied the studies, consulted experts, and joined FTD caregiver support groups, where other spouses have the same haunting expression she sees in the mirror every morning. They share tales of being widowed while still married, and the bizarre experience of grieving for a living person. However, the girls are also aware. Demi and Emma make an effort to keep the worst information from them. Recently, Mabel asked her mother if her father would recognize her upon graduating from high school. Emma was unable to respond. Evelyn fears that she may forget the sound of her father's voice. Emma preserves the sound of him repeating, "I love you," before those words were rendered impossible by playing old films and voice memos repeatedly. This is not a tale of surrender. It's a tale about being present, arriving when your spouse may not recognize you, posting pictures to the internet knowing that half of the comments would label you a monster, arriving to set up appointments for genetic counseling, financial planning, and care scheduling, demonstrating to your daughters that love endures even when a person's brain malfunctions. Millions of people learned what it meant to be a hero from Bruce Willis. He accomplished this through his foundation work and silent donations to charities that never garnered media attention, not through his movies. He demonstrated to others that acknowledging your need for assistance may sometimes be a sign of strength. The same lesson is now being taught by his family. They are demonstrating to the world that death preparation does not equate to surrender. It entails loving someone enough to make difficult choices, to withstand criticism from others, and to keep going even when your innermost thoughts want to give out. In September 2025, Emma shared a paragraph on Instagram that encapsulated everything. People inquire about my well-being. I'm explaining to our children why their father doesn't remember their performance, and I'm defending our decisions to strangers who have never held someone's hand as their memory vanished, she wrote. To be honest, I'm getting ready to lose my husband while he's still sitting next to me. The Willis family is not requesting sympathy. Rather, they are requesting awareness, research funding, access to genetic counseling, and support systems for the millions of families who watch their loved ones slowly disappear. They are requesting that people stop treating dementia as a shameful thing to hide away. And you know what? I'm okay. Not great, but okay, because he would do the same for me. As his family prepares for Bruce Willis's impending death, they are also working to prevent others from having to face this journey alone.